All right, so today we're going to dive into listing presentation, and I was having some fun getting some cool things ready for you guys. This might have to happen in more than one session based upon everything that I'm pulling up and looking at and researching. So I would imagine we're probably going to go 2 weeks on this topic, right? I think probably just saying this out loud right now, this week, I'll probably just review with you guys all the assets that we have available to you, some of the kind of cool concepts that I'm thinking about, looking at all my previous resources for you guys. And let's just get all that stuff on the table. And I'll help create the right context and framing for how we should approach this. Let's go week one, then week two. So it might be a little bit more of just this week, just going over all the resources and making sure we're compiling all the stuff. And then really next week might be a little bit more, let's dig in. What are we doing? What's your guys' process? What are the steps? What do we need to do? So anyways, let's take a look at that. But yeah, on Thursday, I was really happy with that presentation on you guys, like how do we get your guys' services defined and create a really high quality offer, and then how to market those services. So I'm very happy with how that content came together yesterday on the Digital Marketing Mastermind. So make sure if you guys did get that email that went out this morning, if you didn't, I need to know and I need to get it over to you. Okay. So if you did not get the newsletter on the Digital Marketing Mastermind this morning, would you please make sure you send a message to pferry@yourcoach? And then I'll just give you guys the link right now. But I just need to get you guys on that Digital Marketing Mastermind newsletter anyways. Would you guys do that for me? Yep, Tracy?
Say it looks like it just came through, like right before we started the call. So if you didn't get it earlier and didn't see it, it may be there now. I just saw it pop up.
Okay, cool. Because I saw it this morning at 6 a.m. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I was like, oh, shoot. I'm not sure that my VA did follow the right process. Obviously it was my fault. I wasn't super clear. And so then I asked Janine to get all of your guys's contacts over. And then I guess they might have just sent it to all of you guys as well. So you may have received it once or even twice or even potentially 3 times, but let's make sure you guys get on that. Okay. So I really want to make sure that you guys check that out. Okay. So do that one. Hey, awesome. All right, let's get rolling. Okay, now that I got a bunch of you guys here, which is great. So today and next week, let's talk about the listing process. And I was just having a conversation with Michael Tallis, and here's where we need to start. Okay, so every single one of you guys is in a different position, and I just want to create one contrast difference. That's ideal. Thank you. Okay, let's go back. There's a big contrasting point when we talk about listing presentation, okay? And the contrasting point is very simple. Going back to the days of when I used to coach with my dad's company, our goal as a coaching body, we were obsessed with one thing and one thing only: how to get your listing pipeline filled and how to convert as many listings as humanly possible. And the goal that we were always looking at is how to help you get 100 listings a year and to become a top mega listing agent. Okay. And so in that process, we were really aggressive with it, and it was all prospecting based. So it was direct to consumer lead generation based. And my dad and Tom and Matt, when they were all working at the same company, we were literally the first, training and coaching body that helped agents get 100 listings a year through a very specific system. And I grew up in this environment of an exact listing process, step by step, exactly what to say, who to call, the different lead types, exact scripting, how to book an appointment for a listing appointment. Then from there, it was the pre-qualifying the listing appointment script. And then from there, it was the 1 minute listing presentation, the 5 minute listing presentation, and the 20 minute listing presentation. And Tracy is laughing and smiling over there because she knows what this is. Some of you guys have no idea what I'm talking about. And then there was just a series of objections that we would handle to get the contract signed at the price that we would want, that would cause it to sell for the commission rate that we wanted. And so my father's Mike Ferry system was the original, yep, there it is, the real estate sales system, right? 50th anniversary of my dad's in the business this summer. I'm going, everybody's invited. If you've never been to a Mike Ferry event, then it is a rite of passage. So you must attend a Mike Ferry event, and he's 80 years old. So this will probably be one of the last really good ones if you didn't see him in his prime days of being a wild animal on stage. So just so you guys know, I'm going. It'd be super fun if you guys went, and it's the summer in Palm Desert, Marriott Desert Springs. So anyways, have some fun with that. But let's go back. It was a very simple script. It was a formulas. Start here, go all the way through, get the contract signed, and rinse and repeat. And it was over and over again. And the goal was always, let's see if we can book one listing appointment a week. Then can we get to 2 appointments per week? Can we get to 3? Can we get to 1 a day? Can we get to 2 a day? Because at 2 a day, and you prospected, basically, if you were 2 appointments per week and you prospected 48 weeks, most people wouldn't, but let's just say that you were somewhere in the range of 40 to 48 weeks, 1 appointment a week with a good conversion, you're getting close to 50 listings a year. Then if you're 2 appointments per week, we're on track now for getting closer to 100, 3 appointments per week. Now we're cooking and we're getting 100. And of course, the goal is to continue to scale. So that's the world that I was raised in, was this. I used to teach all of those scripts. I used to teach the Mike Ferry listing presentation like all the time, and it was super fun. And I could almost regurgitate it from memory right now if I really tried 10 years later without even looking at it. The context of that is the thing that I need you guys to realize, what I learned afterwards, that was a very well-defined process. It was step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And the process was optimized for the maximum efficiency, the perfect customer, and the highest level of conversion. And so what we have today is not having a process. And because we had a very specific process, we could obsess on the improvement of every step. Every step, we were obsessed. How do we improve this step? What are the best practices? What are the concerns? What are the challenges? How do we optimize it? How do we increase efficiency? And then we would just be in this improvement cycle nonstop on the process. And that's all that we did. And my dad's company we basically created 1,000 agents who sold more than 100 listings in a year, right? Before anyone else even knew what we were doing. Unfortunately, my dad is such a pain in the ass to work for that almost all of those people went off and started other coaching companies and went to everybody else, just because my dad is a monumental pain in the ass to work for. Tom left, my brother Matthew left, and then eventually I left. And pretty much all of the leaders, the people that started Keller Williams Maps Coaching, all from Mike Ferry, all of the major brands and companies, all of them, Robert, what's his name? Glover, whatever the hell his name is, Mike Ferry trained, right? I knew him when he was 19, right? Every single one of them all went through this process, okay? And spit themselves out on the other end. Now, where are we today? Today, we are in a world of the buffet, right? And we're in this modern world trying out all kinds of different things and different stuff and testing different approaches. So I want to recenter your brain. Step 1 is we really need to take a look at each step of the process and to obsess on the best practices at each step. And the problem is you guys aren't looking at each step. So today I just want to center you guys That is the mission within the next 2 weeks, is that we formulate and look at what are the best steps and how could you improve that step. So step number one, you receive a phone call. Oh, hold on. Let me back up for a second. Okay. The contrast of this perfect system, scale it up to 100 listings a year, right? The contrast to that was, Patrick, I don't really have a listing presentation. I just go organic, right? Patrick, my conversion on my listing appointments is like 99%. And then I go, cool, good for you. Let me ask you, how many listing appointments did you go on last year? Oh, I don't know. What type of listing appointments did you get? It was mostly referral and previous clients. You weren't competing against other people that didn't know you, right? So I had a great interview session with Josh Finnegan in Charlotte, North Carolina on expireds, because he said to me this week on his coaching call, I think I got 10 expired listings already, either under contract or on the market or closed already as of January 30th. And I was like, rock and roll, dude. And then I was like, I saw obviously should get a quick little interview with you. And I said, gosh, Josh, in your best year, how many expired listings did you convert? And he says, just under 40. Now, what's the difference between what Josh has to do on a listing presentation versus you and your past client calling you to say, I'm thinking about selling? Your friend calling you up and saying, we're thinking of selling. What's the difference between those two presentations? When Josh was saying, yeah, I would get on the call and have a conversation with a seller who had already scheduled 2 listing appointments, and I was slotting myself into number 3. What's the difference between that presentation and your warm and fuzzy, cozy, mosey, wozy, right, listing appointment with your best friend? Do you guys get that there's a contrast there? Okay. So please do not talk to me about your best friend, previous client, listing presentation. Don't talk to me about that. What we're talking about is how to help you guys scale from 10 to 20 to 30 to 100. Okay. That's what we're talking about. So whatever you do with your best friend, have fun. Okay. Okay. Is that clear, everybody? Because it used to come up all the time. And yes, you can go be cozy mosey and sit down on the couch and have a glass of wine and talk about how to help your buddy sell your home. And all I do is I just talk to him and we just listen and it's great. Good for you. Okay. That's not what I'm talking about. All right. So let's get to it. So just to roll back, I want all of you guys, and part of what I get to do with you today is, and next week is we get to start to really identify at each step of this process, what is the best practice? What can we do to elevate the strategy, the tactic, the script, the
We
step?
celebrate, okay? Once you finish, we will celebrate.
I agree. Rania. Okay. So anyways, today I was just having some fun and I wish I would have had more time in the day, but I was doing 1,000 makeup sessions this week. And last week was the elite retreats. And my wife went on a trip last Friday and then just went to Park City as of yesterday. My time constraints to get extra time on these projects was limited. So please forgive me a little bit for not being as well organized as humanly possible. All right, but here's where I started. Let's have some fun. Okay. Just as a reminder, right, is I went to Google's Gemini Deep Research and I was just asking for, I said, okay, step 1 is how to sell a house, right? Step by step. And I got a incredible deep research on that. That is a interesting, I just want to see in the general public right now with all of the websites. Let's take a look down here at all the websites that this pulled from. And I want to show you guys. look at this. So 40 websites, Dave Ramsey, how to sell. I don't even know what this is. 6 steps, Redfin, Rocket, Realtor, Zillow. I don't even know who this preview. List with Cleaver. This is funny. Bankrate, Houseo, NerdWallet, HomeLight, right? So it's pulled from all of these resources and created a how to sell a house, which was my request. The steps to selling a house. That's nice. Interesting asset. Okay. Then there it is. Let's move that over. Then I did one on, oh, that's that. Sorry. That looks exactly the same. Wait, no, this was, oh, this one I asked it actually how to prepare your home for sale. And so if we go back to Google Gemini 2.0 research, I was curious about what is the current online information on how to best practices. Let's see, how to prepare a home for sale. That was very interesting. I asked it, right? What are the best practices for preparing a home for sale and what is the value of each step and why to do it? That was super interesting, right? So I got that, which is nice. Let's go back over here. Stop it, Google. Ah, don't move. Okay. Then I went to Google Gemini Research and I said, what are the best practices for a real estate agents for a listing presentation? Look at this sucker, right? And then what was interesting, of course, I was looking at was, this is really pretty in depth. I was also looking at, okay, where did it pull? Realtor.com, MoxieWorks, who's that? This one, assets. What is that? I don't even know what that is. Agent Rise Coaching. Who's that? YouTube, Tom Ferry blog. Sad that Tom Ferry's blog wasn't first, right? Need to work on Tom Ferry's SEO team. Okay. Boston real estate, luxury presence, market leader, the close, right? High Note, by the way, High Note, you guys know that I'm good friends with Mark at High Note. And I told Mark at High Note that he needs to work on his SEO for the ultimate listing guide because he's selling the product High Note. And so he's got 2 in this 3, right? So we were working on the SEO for him to rank for listing presentation. Fun. Tom Ferry blog. Bernie Gallerini, one of my old Mike Ferry buddies, Rockstar Real Estate Agent Fire. Interesting. So that was cool. Nice little knowledge base. And I extracted that as well. Let's see. What else did I do over here with Google Gemini? Come on, let's go. There we go. And then I think I just did that last one, which we looked at, which was, yeah, just the steps. Okay. So how to prepare, right? Because I was curious about what it had to say about that, right? What are the steps? And then best practices as a listing presentation with the deep research. And so that these are really rich. So I've got those into these Google Docs steps. Let's just make sure we got the how to prepare. And then, nope, I only got a couple, but that's okay. Okay. So anyways, I highly recommend that you guys take a quick look at that. Okay. Now let's take a quick look at a couple of my assets really fast. I worked on this thing called the seller customer journey. And what I was trying to do was trying to think through our perfect customer, what their journey is. And I was trying to organize my thoughts for content marketing and education. And whenever you do content marketing, you want to really think about your avatars, and then you want to think about the customer journey. And if you can create content for each one of those spots on the customer journey, then your perfect customer will find that, love you, appreciate you, and then book an appointment with you. That's in the perfect world. So I haven't looked at this in a long time, but let's just take a quick look at that. What are the stages of your typical property seller's journey, right? Aspiration and consideration of new opportunities in the new phase of life, right? Interesting. I could probably elaborate on that a little bit, right? We could probably add a few more variations to the different avatars, right? Let me put a little note to myself, which is avatars, right? Because, right, as for some of you guys, avatar, right? Here's a good exercise for all of you. You tell me what your top 3 avatars are. Anyone want to throw one out? What's your top 3 avatars?
Moving someplace warm.
That's right. So my Chicago, moving someplace warm,
Getting
right?
out of California.
And yes, for there's an avatar where there's kind of this kind of leaving California, cashing out, and there's like a variety of different decisions in that process. Okay. Anyone else?
Move up buyer.
Okay. The move up buyer, the trade upper. Yep. You're kind of downtown Chicago, right? Just like me in San Diego between 2015 to 2021. The number 1 client acquisition was the young couple that just got married, were doing well. They had a condo or a townhome in San Diego, were hipsters and having fun, living near the downtown area. And then they wanted to trade up to North County where all of the adults live.
That's really 2 avatars. It's your first time seller and move up buyers in one, right?
Okay. So everybody, and then Paul, I've been torturing Paul nonstop because he wants the seniors downsizing, but there's also, so there's a couple phases there. So in one of my old geographic farms that I lived in, that I completely blew up, screwed it up, which is why my advice is better because I messed things up badly. In that old geographic farm, everybody bought the home in 1999 to 2001. All of the houses were 2-story, 2,500 to 3,500 square feet. And what demographic do you think was doing that? In beautiful Carlsbad with the perfect little manicured HOA and the great little community with the best schools in North County. Who bought those houses? And then 20 years later, from 2000 to 2020, who was the seller? Can anyone figure that out? Cheryl, Frank, who was the seller? So I have now a empty nester, right? Empty nester downsizer, which is very different than the senior downsizer, like the super senior downsizer, or the one transitioning, depending on your niche, transitioning from house to assisted living. Okay. You guys tell me who your avatar is, and then let's make sure that we're working on your customer journey. Oh my gosh, I just got the coolest thing from, this is going to be so cool. I can't wait to show this to you guys, but I got to play around with it myself first. Oh, it's going to be so good. Hot off the press 5 hours ago. How to design a winning customer avatar in less than 15 minutes from my favorite super nerds right with AI. And oh boy, this is going to be epic, right? So we're going to do the demographic and psychographic prompt, and then we're going to do the unwanted solutions prompt. Oh my God, it's going to be so good. Then we're going to do the identity shift prompt, and then we're going to do the day in the life, and we're going to have the most epic, right, avatar in the history of avatars. If all of you guys can identify your favorite avatars, we're going to have some fun with that. Okay, that's way advanced level. So just I'll ease you guys into it. Okay, let's keep going. Let's get back over to the customer service. Can you send the link? Yes, but I don't know what I'm sending you yet. Okay, let's go. Where are we? Okay, so let's work on your avatars. Share with me your top 3, right? Yep. And then I'll share that with you guys really fast. Doink, 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 doink. Okay. Okay. Aspiration, research, exploration of new options, research into existing value of property, cost to make to move, research, finance, new loans, commitment to move, decision on what to do with the property before the market, decisions on timelines, going on the market, being on the market, responding to offers, negotiation, accepting an offer, seller's responsibility to under contract, and congratulations, your funds are on the way to the bank, right? We could probably elaborate on that, and I highly recommend that you do. And then let's start to look at each one of those stages with how good your advice is at each stage. How many of you have been on this appointment recently that they are aspiring and considering a new opportunity in their life? How good are you at that? Right? When they are exploring their new options, how good are you in that conversation? Obviously, every one of you, you're like, oh, this is where I start. And then none of you guys cover that, of course. And then this was a huge topic in the trade up markets, because if you had to sell and buy at the same time, it was all about that. And there was all kinds of weird stuff going on. This is where most of you guys excel, but we need to improve the quality of how you're doing that, the decision of what to do before you go on the market. A lot of you guys don't talk a lot about timelines, and it's not a strong feature of your listing presentation. And that is a monumental mistake. Super important. So anyways, you get the picture. Okay, helpful questions. Develop a comprehensive list of video topics. Boom. And then, oh, by the way, what are the most common misperceptions and myths? I had some fun here. Common fears. What sells them down? What are the common questions? What questions should they ask, but they don't? What do they know? What do they not know that would be helpful, right? Et cetera, et cetera. Different types of sellers. I was doing a little brain dump, demographics, fun, some additional resources. Have some fun with that. We need to make some updates to that. Okay, let me share with you the other asset from me. This is something that I was very proud of. I worked on this a lot when I was an active agent, and I want you guys to make sure that you guys look at this. What I was doing back in the day on this was I was looking at a couple things. I was working on a lot of for sale by owners and expireds, and I was trying to help people to understand the FSBO, what my value was. And when you compete against a for sale by owner, the for sale by owner says, I don't see your value. And so your job is to actually articulate in real terms what your value was. And because A, I'm a very analytical type, that's actually helpful. And then B, I was on a for sale by owner with a venture capitalist who sells $100 million companies. So I better have my shit together when I was explaining that. I was trying to convince a for sale by owner in La Jolla, and he says, selling a home is not a rocket science. And he says, because I am a rocket scientist. So I was dealing with PhDs, I was dealing with attorneys, I was dealing with all kinds of professionals who basically looked at me as an agent and were like, I don't see why I should pay you any money. This isn't complicated. I can get it done. And so I was forced to really deeply reflect on, okay, how do we, with our advice, our knowledge and wisdom, improve the quality of not only their experience, what did Terry Sojin say, right? Make it easy for them, stress-free, right? Give them a higher gain in material return on investment, right? Et cetera, et cetera. I wrote this back in the day, and my goal was to convert this into a white paper and start to send this for sale by owners, right, as a white paper. So you can have some fun with this. When I talked about phase one, 6 to 12 months before going on the market, what causes owners to leave money on the table? Obviously, I wrote these in very sassy, funny ways. Please take a look at those and have some fun. And then how to sell your home for significantly more and why we outperform the market. And then I put a bunch. Number 2, 30 days prior to on the market. What causes owners to leave money on the table, right? And these are real things. We all know the decisions that are made 30 days prior to on the market cost sellers money every day. So if you're, well, Patrick, what should I cover on a listing appointment? What should I cover when I'm meeting someone when they're in advance of selling their home? What value could I bring to them? What knowledge, wisdom, and expertise do I have to share to people at that stage? Good question. Let's get that figured out. How to sell for more. Phase 3, first 30 days on the market. How your profits get lost forever. If you sell a lot of houses, you realize that when people make bad mistakes in the process of going on the market and in the first 30 days, they lose money. You guys deal with it every day. You're like, oh man, I got this seller and they're complete moron. I was just talking to Randy Ora and I just basically got a full price offer on a $4 million property. And the seller basically just said, this is yesterday. He said, the seller just said, I can't review the offer and respond until February 10th. A full price offer on a $4 million property. No property sold for $4 million in this community. This is breaking the record. And now the seller is, I can't respond for 10 days. You guys follow me? Right? I was dealing with Chris Lotz and one of his sellers is going haywire and going sideways. And he's about to get them more money than they even aspirationally wanted. And they're totally all over the place. Okay. How to sell for significantly more. I needed to update this, but negotiations, right? This is really what we really need to be doing, right? How your profits are lost forever, how to sell for more, right? And then phase 5, accepted offer, how to give away even more of your profit, how to just throw money away, right? And then how to preserve your income. So I would love it if some of you guys were to take a look at that and to A, get yourself empowered, and B, create your own version of that. Where's your video script for each one of those things? How I make my sellers more money at this phase. The mistakes that sellers make every single day that cost them huge amounts of money at this phase. Should everybody have some blog post, some videos, some Instagram reels, some YouTube videos? Should you guys have a guide? Should you get some resources around this stuff? What's the answer? Yes. Now, could we take the Google Gemini's deep research, you'll see every bit of knowledge that is available online today. And when you read it and you're like, gosh, this stuff is so lame and vague and general. Good news. Why is that good news, everybody? When you go online and the number one blog post for how to sell a house and the steps to sell a house is from Dave Ramsey. And then you read the Dave Ramsey blog, which is the number one blog post recommended by Google at this moment for the steps to sell a house. And you read through that and you're like, this is stupid advice, right? Why is that the best news ever? Anyone?
Opportunity for us to be better and shine.
Because
That's right.
he pays a lot for SEO.
No, it means that the advice that you have has significant tangible value in the marketplace. And if Dave Ramsey's free advice is better than your current advice, then your current advice has no value. So whose advice should always be better and more accurate and more impactful and better explained and customized? Whose advice should always be better than the general advice available online? Ours, if we want to maintain high value, right? And as I was explaining also to the group yesterday, is creating contrast is really important and valuable to us. Creating contrast. The average dipshit advice sounds like this, which would ultimately, let me tell you 5 stories of how this costs people money. What I do is this, which creates huge amounts of stress, less stress, better terms, more control of the timelines, and higher dollars, more dollars in your pocket. Contrast. How good are you guys with that? Storytelling, case studies. I don't know if anyone saw, I didn't get a chance to see it, but I'm looking forward to seeing some of the slides from Meredith Fogel's elite presentation on using case studies in her listing presentation. I'm looking forward to seeing some stuff from you guys. If you went, you got some insights, or can't wait for the slides or whatever. I want to see that. Okay. And I was having an interesting conversation. I forget with who, the legendary, I think it was Josh. One of the more legendary listing presentations was the Gary Gold reverse engineer presentation on how he sold Jay-Z and Beyonce's house in Beverly Hills. And he created this presentation starting from the end result and worked all this way back. That was pretty dope. Sassy. Anyways, let me get my brain back over here. All right, next. Let me see what else I got. I think let's touch this for just 1 second. I'm going to move that back over here. There was a really cool Jimmy Mackin listing leads blog post that went out, and it was seller video titles. I just named it that. And I think I just copy pasted the whole darn thing. And it was pretty awesome. Just so you guys know, I have this here. I'll share it with you guys. 7 common elements in viral video titles. Cool, right? 100 proven real estate headlines to attract sellers. Urgency and action-oriented headlines. You guys could do this with your own prompting skills, so it wasn't that legendary, but it was pretty rad that he did it. This was super fun. Tips and strategies for maximizing value. Very cool. Pricing and market trends. Super cool. Success stories and proof-based headlines. Awesome. Market-specific location-based headlines. Good idea. Right? Expert advice and guidance. Oh, my favorite topic. Yes. Pretty cool. I'll thank you, Jimmy Mackin and his AI prompting. When we go back to your avatar and you go back to the customer journey and you go tinker around with that and you play around with my 5 phases, do you have a lot of really good resources for you guys to create some epic levels of seller education content? If you were to create some seller education content, right, at what stage of the customer journey is the best place to create content online so that you can create listing appointments? Anyone?
Wouldn't it be?
The early stages. Okay. This is the problem that a lot of agents, it didn't click for them because they're basically talking about the stage in which we've already made a decision to sell our house. So if you created content at the state, like how to market your property, I've already met with an agent, right? So you want to really be looking at all the content that's in the early phases, because then that actually would book the appointment. And so if you're an expert in the early phase of what to do to prepare before you put your home on the market, that content will book listing opportunities for you. All the content post is just evidence of success content. I've already met with 5 other agents and now I see your content and it doesn't matter to me. Do you guys follow me? So just be mindful of that. Okay, let's get on with it. Let's get over to the actual, this is my, I worked on this a couple of years back. I still need to go back and look at this, but generally speaking, if you were to ask me, Patrick, what is your listing presentation scripting process? What do you recommend? This is basically what I created for you guys. And I haven't really done a tremendous amount of updating to this. So I'm looking forward to spending some time this week. And then let's all work on this together and work on your process and let's build this sucker out. Okay. Obviously, we need to do step 1, which is after you schedule an appointment, right? I wrote this: what can or should we deliver prior to physical or digital to the appointment to check as many essential boxes as possible in the mind of a homeowner, leaving you only with the most important things to discuss face to face, and simply what would save you and them the most time, i.e., a killer pre-listing presentation. What's the purpose of the killer pre-listing presentation? Is to really check all of those boxes. So why, basically, so let's take a look at what I wrote. I just wrote a few things, okay? Who are you and what's your bio? How good is that? When was the last time you updated it? Your broker, brand, your team, just a simple little one page just to let them know that you actually work with a very reputable company. Great. It's a checkbox. You don't need 6 pages on that. No one gives a shit that it's number 1. No one cares that you've sold a gazillion, million, billion homes. It doesn't matter, right? It's a checkbox in their mind. You work for a successful company. Check. Next. Now, I wrote, and we should relook at this as a group. I'd love for some of you guys to put some attention here, which is what is your promise to a home seller? It's funny that we've never really addressed this as an industry, have we? What is your promise to a home seller? I don't know, Patrick. I have a listing presentation. Okay. Do you have a promise that you are going to act as a fiduciary? Isn't that actually in the contract? Don't you have a contractual agreement, not only with the state, but with your association, and then also with the seller, that you are going to act as a fiduciary? And have you ever explained what that means and what that actual responsibility is to a seller? There was an amazing listing presentation that one of my really good buddies who would list 100 homes a year, and he started there, and it really caught my attention, and I thought it was brilliant. He explained fiduciary to the seller on the listing presentation. I got to see it. Okay. Do you have a promise for the customer experience?
This is where the I
Yeah,
was
go
just
ahead.
gonna say, this is where the scripting should be, right? The 5-star experience that you were,
Yes,
yeah.
that's right. That have you guys already worked through every step of the customer's journey from contract signed all the way through to close? And have you guys optimize every step of that process to make your customer's experience amazing, to solve all those little problems, to deal with all of the issues every step of the way? Did you already work through that? Have you done it more than once? Yes. So do you have a promise to your customers that the experience from contract all the way to close is designed for them to have an amazing, easy experience, stress-free, and to solve all the problems and to mitigate them? And your goal is to create a 5-star customer experience. Okay. Now, do you have a promise that you're going to create a custom marketing plan for them and a custom plan for designing the timelines for them and helping them to make this transition? What is when you create a custom plan for your customers, what is that? How do you articulate that? So I would love to see you guys actually create some version of your promise to home sellers. Okay. Next, how do we best summarize your authority, your social proof of success, your experience utilizing third-party validations, right? And so you guys remember I got that 10,000 hour stats, which was really fun. I got that from Daryl Judy. Some of you guys did some of that. It was really great. Okay. Map of sales, how to add all of your sales addresses into Google Maps. Here's a quick little tutorial on how to do that. Okay. Your reviews and testimonials, what are we doing there? And remember, Google Business Profile plus Zillow plus LinkedIn plus Yelp. And I will throw in one more, which I think is also very relevant, which is realtor.com. Okay. Okay. So I would love to see what your visual presentation is, because one of the things I worked on with, you guys remember my client, Amar, who basically I fired, right? Amar and I worked on a really badass presentation where we had on his listing presentation, here was his Google profile in one section. Then it was his Zillow profile in the next section. And then it was his LinkedIn in the next section, because he had reviews on Google, tons of reviews on Zillow, and tons of reviews on LinkedIn. And if you were to showcase that to a seller, that you on 3 of some of the most high value sites in the world, you actually had tons of reviews across multiple platforms, is that a pretty cool, quick, fast way for them to go, oh shit, you know what you're doing? What's the answer?
Yep.
So if we
Yes.
had some version of your map of sales, some version of your testimonials, and a really cool visual experience of your reviews, that would be awesome. Okay. Then I do believe that we should all be offering some references. I think this is weird that we don't, but I do believe we should, right? And then advanced is if you are doing this in the farm, Teresa, what is the farm version of this? And then if you're not in your farm, what is the outside version of the farm? Okay, because in the farm, it's why I'm the best person to hire in this geographic territory. When you're outside of the farm, it's why you should hire someone who's just the best of the best. And I sell everywhere, and you should hire me, not the person who lives in the farm. Okay, that's a la compliments of Eileen Rivera. Okay, now step number 5 is your marketing plan highlights. Okay. And so this is where a lot of you guys have created books. This is where all your material, books, you got all these 4,000 pages of bullshit that you guys talk about. Could we please just send that to them in advance so that you're not sitting there talking about it? Now, in a perfect world, I would love for you guys to create a video talking about that, right? Is it really, here's where I ended up. Is it fun for a home seller for you to be like, I do professional photography. Here's not professional photography. Here's professional photography. I do every website in the world. Here's 1, 2, 3, 6, 20, 100. Oh, I do social media. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X. Oh, what else do I do? Open houses, mega open houses. I do flyers. Do you guys get it? Do you know how absolutely mind-boggling boring that is to someone? Can we please present that in a cool way prior to you showing up? Yes, everybody?
Yeah.
Right? And because I'm going to teach you guys the script. If you are competing, if I'm competing against you and you win and you did your, and that, does anyone, there's a very famous funny movie and there's a scene in there and then if I'm competing against you and you just go in there and you do your, and then for 30 to 45 minutes and everybody's eyes are rolling over and their eyes are falling back behind their head. And then I come in and I say, all of us top listing agents have the same high standards of how we market homes. We all do professional photography. We all do staging. We all do open houses. We all do broker caravans. We all have a database. We all send it to every single website in the world. We all do the absolute best, highest standards of listing process and marketing. We all do social media. We all do social media advertising. We all do video. We all do all of these things. That's just the standard of a top listing agent. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, would you like me to walk you through every one of those things for the next 2 hours and put you to sleep? Or did you just want me to talk about the 1 or 2 things that I'm super passionate about that I think are really fun and exciting that move the needle? If I did that and you did that, right? They're going to like me better. Now, would you guys agree that you tell me what your ratio is? Maybe 30% of the time, maybe they're actually interested in those details of like, how do you market a home? 30% of the time, they only care because we told them it was important. And then 30% of the time, they really don't care at all and they're annoyed. For my agents who've been on a lot of listing appointments, am I on track or off track?
On
So
track.
30% roughly actually are interested in the details. Now, what I want you guys to do, and one of your assignments between now and next week, is create some version of your marketing process, collateral, visual presentation, story, and like kind of build the standard of what it is and how it works. And then let's figure out how to deliver that in advance so that your guys' listing presentations are like 20 to 30 minutes and you get the contract signed and you get hired and you get the hell out of there. Yes, everybody? Because what takes you guys the longest? There's two things that take you guys the longest. What would you guys identify? The two things that take the longest? Right? Number one, some of you guys, it's you're walking through the house, talking to them about all the things that they should or could do. That's number one. And then number two, a lot of you guys, it takes forever for you guys to walk through and then let me show you what I do on Facebook. And then let me show you what I do on Instagram. Oh, look, we get you on Chinese websites. Whoa, the Chinese, right? You guys follow me? Okay. Now, okay.
Good.
So again, let's start to piece this together. Let's clean this up. Let's make this a better experience. I want this to be a better experience for them and a better experience for you so that when you guys are face to face, you're only discussing what's most important. Let's keep going. So we got some work to do there. I can't wait to see what you guys do. Okay. And then of course, in your pre-listing presentation, you should of course have your housing market predictions video for 2025. Oh yeah, we should do that. That's right. Okay. Now, here's another little thing that I said is there's 5 things to discuss before going on the market. What are the 5 most important things that we should be discussing before your home gets on the market? When I went back over here to the 5 phases, there's a ton of things, right? And so what I realized, again, just from my own experience, which was when I was not can anyone relate to this? When I'm not actively involved with the home seller in the decisions between putting their like all those decisions before they put their home on the market, if I'm not actively involved in those decisions and I'm now meeting with the seller and they made all those decisions, isn't it interesting that most of them made a ton of bad decisions that will cost them money, will slow down the process of selling their home, and no matter how good I am, the decisions that they made usually were not in their best interest and are serious consequences. So the more I started to realize the actual financial implications, the stress that it created on me and on them, that they were making really poor decisions, then my job as an advisor, someone that was committed that my customers had the best experience possible, was to try and get that advice to them as early as humanly possible to prevent them from making the bad mistakes. And isn't that what an expert does? Isn't that what a top advisor does for their customers? So what's your version of that? And then if I sent that in advance and I structured that content in a gentle yet empathetic, yet compassionate, yet confrontational way, and I sent it in advance, basically handling all of the objections and the issues I'm going to deal with. And I sent it in advance in a formal way. And then they read it. And then they realized they made all the mistakes. And now I don't have to bring that up to them face to face and tell it to their face. Do you guys follow me? We are become the a-holes because we now have to tell them that what they did was stupid, but I still want your business. It's very uncomfortable. And so I just want you guys to be aware that if you did a better job of sharing high quality educational content prior to your appointment, you could save yourself a lot of stress and you can save yourself a lot of lack of rapport moments because they made decisions and they chose the wrong path. And unfortunately, they did all of that before meeting with you. I'm so sorry, but I'm here to help. Versus, I'm so sorry, that decision you made is a really bad one. Do you guys want to say that? Or did you want your expert advice to say that? So I want you guys to figure out how do we do that? I don't know. But let's get on with that. And you can see that the 5 things to discuss before going on the market, if we created some content, a video, you had a nice guide, and we were to also then market that thing. If you were to market that as a guide, that's part of your seller seminar presentation, right? Isn't that basically what a seller seminar is right there? Yes, everybody? What are the 5 most important decisions that someone needs to make before they put their home on the market and if you get these decisions wrong, they will have real financial implications. You get these wrong, you will have massive amounts of stress. You will have super big delays in the process of selling a home. What are they? Yes? Cool. Anyways, I was just talking about this stuff. Like, what can we do? What is yours? What do you got? How's it working? Is it really setting you up for a significantly better experience with the customer? Is the customer thanking you for your pre-listing presentation, your pre-appointment education, your how to prepare resources? Are they thanking you? Wow, this is so good. You answered all of my questions. These were the questions that were burning in my mind. And I met with 3 other agents. And when I asked them those questions, they fumbled and bumbled all over the place. And you actually answered my questions before I ever even met with you in an intelligent, thoughtful, and strategic way. Wow, I'm so impressed with you. And we haven't even met physically yet. Is that what your pre-listing presentation looks like right now? Sounds like? Is that what you're getting? Or is it, let me tell you about how great I am and how many homes my company sells? Snooze fest. You guys follow me? Now, here's another thing that we should look at, which is what additional things can we share before or leave behind? I always thought that this was interesting, just pulling the tax and public records and reviewing some of that stuff. It's funny how many mistakes are there, which is interesting. Copy of the pre-listing or the previous listing. I've made a mistake by just using some of that data. That was tragic. Listing agreement document samples, seller disclosure samples, CMA summary, active pending sold research, net sheets and ranges. What are some of the cool things that you do that sets you apart, right? In terms of kind of prep and also that demonstrating that you have a process that's really next level thorough and deliver that, you share that, you position that so that your customers are like, dang, thank you. This is really interesting information, right? Okay, so what can we do there? That'd be really fun, right? All right, let's get to it. Oh my gosh, it's 11:09. Darn it. I haven't even get to the scripting part, but I got to jump. So anyways, I will try and
You
package.
said you'll share a link to the digital marketing mastery here.
Oh,
Did you?
Yep. Did you get an email by chance?
The email that I received did not have a link to sign up for a newsletter. It has like bullet points talking about it, but not a link.
There's 3 links at the top of it. Can you confirm? Take a quick look at that.
I got the email too. I'll look again too.
Let's see.
Just on today's digital marketing mastermind, all invited agents, leads, marketers received an invite to a meeting. I did not get them.
That's what I got too.
Okay. Well, I got it at 6 a.m. this morning. What the heck is that?
Yeah.
All right. I'll just send it out to you guys. I have to send it, but I gotta go.
One came at 6:16 this morning,
That's the one.
and that has the recording link in it.
Yeah, and the registration link. But I gotta go. I'll catch up with you guys later.